Hi, guys. I want to give all praise to the Father, to the Holy Spirit, and to our brother Christ. I want to come talk to you guys a little bit more pertaining about the bloodline. Um, and I want to get into that a little bit more because I was actually doing research on my last name a little bit more, and I know my family is Indian, Native American. And I know some people have a problem with saying Indian. They be like, no, I'm Native American, not Indian. But Native Americans do come from Indians, and I'm going to show y'all that today. But I was reading this about my last name, Wilson, and it says there is a new current speculation based on some new recent evidence found in a huge DNA study drawn on the BBC for their show, The Blood of the Vikings. DNA samples were taken from groups across the 4 countries of the British Isles in order to determine the impact and spread of the Danish bloodlines, especially in the areas which were traditionally known to be Vikings. The area of the Danelaw lands in northeastern England and northeastern Scotland. It was revealed that the Irish today are predominantly descended from the Britons or Brythonic Celts, as are most of the Welsh, and are not of Danish or Norman ancestry. Areas of northeastern Scotland and the Danelaw areas of England, on the other hand, were found to be predominantly of Danish Norman descent. The Wilson name, however, does have some representation in northern Wales, and this is also an area of A positive blood grouping, a blood group which only people of Nordic descent have. And then it says, see, for example, the mitochondrial DNA in the islands of North Atlantic, estimating the proportions of the Norse and Gaelic ancestry. So I want to talk about the Native Americans having Nordic ancestry, as well as being from the Middle Eastern, as well as being Black, because people hear Nordic and they think only white people. They hear blonde hair and blue eyes, and they think only Caucasians. And as I explained to you guys, the Caucasians are the Amorite tribe, which got leprosy. They are Hamitic. They are actually African. And that's the Nordic people. Okay. And we're going to talk about that. I came across this Melanochroi, peoples of the Mediterranean race. This was the name for us. And I keep explaining to you guys that the Amorites are the Irish people. I keep saying that. And I keep saying that the Israelites are mixed with the Irish people because Abraham's mother was an African woman. She was Hittite, but her father was Amorite, so she was mixed with the Rh negative bloodline. So she was a Black woman with possibly blonde red hair and blue or green eyes. So when we type in Amorite Nordic, and as I explained to y'all, they was also the Amaru, the Hyksos Egyptians, etc. So the Amorites was the Nordic people. So it is Black Nordics today. The Nordics is the Rh negative bloodline. And we do have Black people who are Rh negative, as my family is. and I know that my family is African, Indian, and Irish. Like, this is what my grandmother has told me out her own mouth, that our family is African, Indian, and Irish. And she know exactly what she's talking about, because as I do my research, our family is exactly what she said, African, Indian, and Irish. Um, let's see, your mother was a Hittite and your father was an Amorite. That was Ezekiel 16:3. But I was looking for something. Let me see. Let me type in the Nordics or Amorites, see if we get thing for that. Okay. Say, the Knights Templar were therefore Knights of the Sun, the Moon, and the Stars. They were an esoteric order that encapsulated the secret teaching of the solar, lunar, and stellar cults of antiquity. Even the most cursory per usual of the symbolism that this order and its affiliates employ confirms this to be true. The Templar Order was a repository for the arcane lore of ages, for the astrological gnosis that exalted the hierarchies of Christian atonists Rome, but that had to remain unseen and unknown to the common uninitiated believer. In short, the Templars were descendants of the cult of Aton. In fact, the creators of the Knights Templar were descendants of the Marygroven dynasty, headquartered in France, and that, according to the three authors of the Holy Blood, Holy Grail, had the biblical Jesus among their family members. This powerful dynasty has been traced by some researchers back to the Amorites and to the Hyksos pharaohs of Egypt. Say, Clay believes that the Amorites were the true founders of the Babylonian civilization. He claims that it was during the Amorite Hammurabi dynasty that the names of famous Babylonian gods, heroes appear, such as El, Anu, Ea, Ishtar, Tammuz, Adapa, Anat, Dagon, Moloch, Lugal, and Gilgamesh, etc. The Amorites were fierce warriors who were represented on the Egyptian monuments with fair skin, light hair, blue eyes, curved or hooked noses, and pointed beards. And this is a reason why, because I always say that to my husband, like, our noses are a little bit more straighter than, 100 people who are 100% African. And that's because we are mixed with Caucasian, the Amorites. So Abraham was Indian. His father was from Shem, the Indians. And his mother was a mix of Hittite, African, and Amorite. When the Amorites are still African tribe, okay, Hittites and Amorites are both Canaanite tribes, but the Amorites were RH negative. They had leprosy. It's a interesting there. The Amorites God was one of the mountains, volcanoes, and thunder. And if the official history that the Amorites is to be trusted, this suggests that the Amorites were a very ancient people, even if they were not as civilized or fixed as the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Egyptians. Allegedly, their language was a form of Akkadian and near to what is now referred to as Hebrew. Some historians believe the Amorites to be the ancestors of the Israelites, although the connection cannot be asserted due to the dearth of information of the race. The Bible refers to the Amorites as the mountain or hill dwellers, the mountains of Judea, like Mount Moriah, or perhaps Amoriah, for instance, were known as the mountains of the Amorites. The Bible does state that the Amorites were of giant stature. Their king was known as Og, and this was close to the Gaelic Agma, and the giant god of strength and wisdom. The Bible, however, does not presume kinship between Amorite and Israelites, but deems the Amorites to be ancestors of the Canaanites. Nevertheless, there may have been a connection between the biblical Israelites and Amorites since the languages are so similar. But the Bible does actually make a connection in Ezekiel 16:13 when it say, "Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and thus say, thy birth and nativity is of the land of Canaan." The Canaanites, thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother was a Hittite, talking about Abraham's mother. Her father was an Amorite and her mother was a Hittite. And as we've been talking about in the last two videos, that the mother carries the bloodline. This is how Abraham, he was Horite. He was Horite. So, where were we? Okay, so the myths of Israelites, after all, do seem preoccupied with mountains, desert, wilderness, fulminating gods, whirlwinds, and short-term kingdoms. Most importantly, the connection of the Amorites to the Hyksos is strengthened when we discover that the Amorite goddess, the consort of Amaru, was known as the goddess of the desert. But see, the Amorites, we are mixed with them. But the Bible say the Egyptians, Assyrians, and Israel, my people. So it's definitely not okay. So the mother carries the bloodline. The mother is more Hittite. So the Hittite tribe is where the priesthood descended from, not the Amorites. And this is where the Caucasians get it wrong. They try to say that they birthed us. They birthed us. Well, neither tribe birthed neither tribe. We just brothers and sisters. But one tribe got leprosy and the other tribe did not have leprosy. And they intermated and created a whole new sub tribe called the Horites, and that which Abraham's mother was. She was a Horite. Okay, so I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. I know it's a lot to talk about. So now we're going to talk about how we were all termed similar, but then they just start changing the names for the people, and then they stop trying to say, okay, this is why I say African Americans is Israelites. They just try to say that we're not from the Mediterranean area. They try to say that we just from Africa, but Africa is right there next to the Mediterranean area on the coast. And those people did mix Shem and Ham. As I just explained to you, Abraham's father was from Shem and his mother was from Ham, even though she was mixed with two tribes from Ham, which was the Amorites and the Hittites. Okay, I hope y'all understand all that. That's a lot. I hope y'all understand all that. Okay, so now we see that we used to be termed melanocroi. Melanocroi. I don't know how to pronounce it. Let's see. If it got down a little. So they have this definition: Caucasians having dark hair and pale complexion. But that's not what it is, because we're about to read exactly what it is right here in the Mediterranean race Wikipedia. So it says an Irish man. Remember, I explained to you guys that the Irish are the Nordic people, and they come from the Mediterranean area as well. The Caucasus Mountains are right above Canaan. They're like right there. There's no way you can miss it. Okay, so the Mediterranean race, also Mediterranean race, is one of the sub-races into which the Caucasian race was categorized by most anthropologists in the late 19th to mid 20th centuries. Okay, So they know this. They know that Caucasians are not from Japhet or like the other white people. They know that Caucasians come from the Middle East area and are from Ham, not Europe, even though they more migrated towards those people because they had white skin like them. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, if you black and you all of a sudden your people turn white, I mean, you gonna want to go move with the white people because you're not gonna want to feel out of place living around all the black people. I don't know. That's just what I'm saying. Don't let that be the truth though. I'm just saying how it may have been and why they ended up, gravitating towards the white race or whatever. But to say is one of the sub-races into which the Caucasian race was categorized by most anthropologists in the late 19th to mid-20th centuries. According to various definitions, it was said to be prevalent in Southern Europe, parts of Western Asia, Western Central Asia, and parts of South Asia, and in North Africa and the Horn of Africa. To a lesser extent, certain populations of people in parts of the British Isles and Germany, despite living far from the Mediterranean, were deemed as potentially having some Mediterranean elements in their population, such as Bavaria and Wales. It is characterized by medium or short stature, long long or moderate skull, a narrow and often slightly aquiline, aquiline nose, prevalence of darker eyes, and pink to reddish to light or dark brown skin tone, olive complexion being especially common. So it just told you right there, pink to reddish to light or dark brown skin tone. So our people ranged from light to dark because of the leprosy factor. And it's a early debates. These different I hate why am I stuttering over my words? I can read y'all. I don't know why that happened when I start reading to y'all. Maybe because I be kind of nervous a little bit, and I'm a little bit dyslexic, so it start messing up. These differentiations occur following long-standing claims about the alleged differences between the Nordic and the Mediterranean people. Such debates arose from response to ancient writers who had commented on differences between Northern and Southern Europeans. The Greek and Roman people considered the Germanic and Celtic peoples to be wild, red-haired barbarians. Aristotle contended that the Greeks were an ideal people caused by the called because they possessed a medium skin tone in contrast to the pale northerners. By the 19th century, long-standing cultural and religious differences between Protestants, northwestern Europe, and the Roman Catholic South were being reinterpreted in racial terms. 19th century. In the 19th century, the division of humanity into distinct races became a matter for scientific debate in 1807. Thomas Huxley argued that there was four basic racial categories: Anthropoid, Mongoloid, Australoid, and Negroid. The Anthropoid race were the fair whites of North and Central Europe, according to Huxley. So they saying the Caucasians. The Anthropoid race were the fair whites. On the south was this okay, on the south and west this type comes into contact and mixes with the melanochroi or dark whites. So they called us melanochroi or dark whites, and these regions are found more or less mixed with an- anthropoid, the Caucasians, and mongoloids, and extending to a greater or less distance into the conterminous Anthropoid, Mongoloid, Negroid, and Australoid areas. the man whom I have termed melanochroi or dark whites. Under its best form, this type is exhibited by many Irishmen, Welshmen, and Britons, by Spaniards, South Italians, Greeks, Armenians, Arabs, and high caste Brahmins. And guys, we're going to talk about Brahmins and Abraham in another video coming up. I still got some other videos I got to do, like Jack and the Beanstalk. I am much disposed to think that the melanochroi are the result of an intermixture between the anthrochroi, the Caucasians, and the Australoids, the Native American Indians. It is also the anthrochroi and melanochroi taken together that the absurd denomination of Caucasian is usually applied. By the late 19th century, Huxley's anthrochroi group had been redefined as the Nordic race, so the Caucasians became the Nordic race, whereas his melanochroi became the Mediterranean race. As such, Huxley's melanochroi eventually also comprised various other dark Caucasoid populations, including the Hamites, Berbers, Somalis, Northern Sudanese, ancient Egyptians, and Moors. William C. Ripley's The Races of Europe created a tripartite model, which was later popularized by Madison Grant. It divided Europeans into three main subcategories: Teutonic, Alpine, and Mediterranean. Ripley noted that although the European Caucasoid populations largely spoke Aryan Indo-European languages, the Irish, the oldest extinct language in Europe was Basque, he was also acknowledged the existence of non-European Caucasoids, including various populations that did not speak Aryan language, such as the Hamito-Semitic, which was the Israelites, and the Turkish groups, like the Moors, the Arabs. So, and then it give you like the features. So the Mediterranean: long head, long face, hair, dark brown or black, eyes, dark. And then Alpine, Celtic, round, broad, light chestnut, hazel gray. And then who was the Tectonic? Long, very light hair, blue eyes. Okay, the Caucasians. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm thinking while I'm reading too, so sorry. Okay, and this say the passing of the great race. And I believe they got to do, I want to talk about the Bering Strait. And also this is going to tie to another video that's going to be about flat earth. The earth is not flat, y'all. I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to show y'all. In Germany, Britain, and the USA, it became common for white supremacists to promote the merits of the light-colored hair, light-colored eyes, Nordic race as the most advanced of human population groups. The master race, Southern, Eastern, and Europeans were deemed to be inferior, an argument that dated back to Arthur D. Gabonnaeus. Nordics claims that racial mixing was responsible for the decline of the Roman Empire. However, in the southern Europe itself, alternative models were developed which stressed the merits of the Mediterranean peoples, drawing on established traditions dating from ancient and Renaissance claim about the superiority of the civilization in the south. The notion that the Mediterranean peoples the notion of the Mediterranean peoples were responsible for the most important of ancient civilizations was a problem for the promoters of the Nordic superiority. So the Caucasians wanted to make themselves superior to us, but they're saying it was a problem because the Mediterranean peoples, us, was responsible for the most important of the ancient civilizations. Say Giuseppe Sergi much debated the book The Mediterranean Race, 1901, argued that the Mediterranean race had likely originated from the common ancestral stock that evolved in the Sahara region in Africa, and which later spread from there to populate North Africa, the Horn of Africa, and then the Circum-Mediterranean region. Sergi added that the Mediterranean race and its external characters is a brown human variety, neither white nor negroid, but pure in its elements. That is to say, not a product of mixture of whites with Negroes or Negroid peoples. He explained this taxonomy as inspired by an understanding of the morphology of the skull as revealing those internal physical characteristics of human stocks which remain constant through long ages and at a far remote spots. As zoologists can recognize that the characteristics of an animal species, a variety belonging to any region of the globe or any period of time, so also should an anthropologist if he follows the same method of investigating the morphological characters of the skull. This method has guided me in my investigations into the present problem and has given me unexpected results which were often afterwards confirmed by archaeology or history. According to Sergi, the Mediterranean race was the greatest race of the world and was singularly responsible for the most accomplished civilizations of antiquity, including those of ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Persia, ancient Rome, Carthage, which I was finding out that Carthage is actually the new Tyre. Okay, Hittite Anatolia. Remember, I was telling you guys about Abraham's Hittite mother. Land of Punt, Mesopotamia, and Phoenicia. The four great branches of the Mediterranean stock were the Libyans, the Ligurians, the Pelasgians, and the Iberians. Ancient Egyptians, Ethiopians, and Somalians were considered by Sergi as Hamites, themselves constituting as a Mediterranean variety and one situated close to the cradle of the stock. To Sergi, the Semites were a branch of the eurafricans who were closely related to the Mediterraneans. See? He also asserted that the light-skinned Nordic race descended from the eurafricans. So I told you that the Nordic, the Caucasians are Africans that got leprosy, y'all. The Canaanites, the Eurafricans. Telling you guys now. I've been trying to tell y'all this, and I just came across this information when I came across the A positive blood type. According to Robert Brandolph Merritt, it is in North Africa that we must probably place the original hotbed of that Mediterranean race. Later in the 20th century, the concept of a distinctive Mediterranean race was still considered useful by theorists such as Ernest Houghton up from the 8th, 1931, in his revised edition of Ripley Races of Europe. These writers subscribe to Sergi's I don't know why this happened. Depigmentation. That was the easy word. I don't know why. My mind began so scattered, y'all. Depigmentation theory that the Nordic race was the northern variety of the Mediterraneans that lost pigmentation through natural selection due to the environment. Are y'all Somebody telling the truth right here. It's right in your Bible. This guy is telling the truth. Sergi's depigmentation theory that the Nordic race was a northern variety of the Mediterraneans that lost pigmentation through natural selection due to the environment. According to Kuhn, the homeland and cradle of the Mediterranean race was in North Africa and Southwest Asia, and the area from Morocco to Afghanistan. He further stated that the Mediterraneans formed the major populations element in Pakistan and North India. Kuhn also argued that smaller Mediterraneans have traveled by land. And why is this man named Kuhn? I bet you this is where they got calling people a coon from. Telling the dang on truth, you be a coon. Kuhn also argued that smaller Mediterraneans have traveled by land from the Mediterranean basin north into Europe in the Mesolithic era. Taller Mediterraneans, Atlanto-Mediterraneans, were Neolithic seafarers who sailed in reed-type boats and colonized the Mediterranean basin from the Near Eastern origin. He argued that they also colonized Britain and Ireland, where their descendants may be seen today, characterized by dark brown hair, dark eyes, and robust features. He stressed the central role of the Mediterranean in his work, claiming that the Mediterraneans occupy the center of the stage. The areas of the greatest concentration are precisely those who were civilizations, those where civilizations is the oldest. This is to be expected since it was they who produced it in a sense that produced them. Okay, Seligman also asserted that it must, I think, be recognized that the Mediterranean race is actually more achievement to its credit than any other, since it is responsible for by far the greater part of the Mediterranean civilization, certainly before 1000 BC, and probably much later, and so shaped only not the Aegean cultures, but those of the Western as well as the greater part of Eastern Mediterranean lands, while the culture of their near relatives, the Hamitic pre-dynastic Egyptians, formed the basis of that of Egypt. And I'm going to tell y'all that Jesus, we already talked about how his wife did. Mary Magdalene in the last video, part 2, did the Egyptian ritual on him because Jesus was part Egyptian, and I'm going to do a video on that. I ain't going to get into that on this video, y'all, but I'm trying to tell y'all don't understand that we are mixed with all different type of stuff. This is crazy. Say no. But no, we are Indian, Irish, and African, and Kemetic, which is Hamitic. And that's that. Oh, sorry, y'all. As I explained to y'all, Egyptians are not the only Kemetic people. I think some people we Canaanite, and then also Egyptian because some of us are also Egyptian because remember, I really don't want to get into this right now because this is a whole nother video. But remember, Ephraim and Manasseh were Egyptian. Remember that. So, and I'm going to tell y'all how that tie into everything and when we talk about that, but that's not in this video. Okay, in the USA, the idea that the Mediterranean race included certain populations on the African continent was taken up in the early 20th century by African American writers such as W.E.B. Du Bois, who used it to attack white supremacist ideas about racial purity. Such publications as the Journal of Negro History stressed the cross-fertilization of cultures between Africa and Europe, and adapted Sergi's view that civilizing race had originated in Africa itself, referred to the Mediterranean race as the Iberian race. After the 1960s, the concept of an exact Mediterranean race fell out of favor, though the distinctive features of the Mediterranean populations continued to be recognized. The Mediterranean race was traditionally regarded as one of the primary Caucasoid races next to the Nordic, Alpine, and Armenianoid. An introduction to anthropology. The first physical and social description of the Mediterranean race, then termed Celtic race, was given by the Scottish scientist. The Caucasian race and its sub-races gave the following description. The Celtic race are characterized by a well-formed head, elongated from the front, back, and moderate. Sorry, y'all. I don't meant to do that. But yeah, so as I explained to you, Abraham's mother was part Caucasian, and we are more Gaelic than Celtic, and I wanted to point that out. Okay, according to William C. Ripley, the marked features on the Mediterranean race were dark hair, dark eyes, long face, dilococephalic skull, and a variable narrow nose. Kuhn wrote that marked Mediterranean features included skin color ranging from pink or peaches and cream to a light brown, a relatively prominent and no clean nose, considerable body hair, and a dark brown to black hair. According to Renato Biasuti, frequent Mediterranean traits included skin color, matte white or brunette white, chestnut or dark chestnut eyes and hair, not excessively pilosity, medium low stature, body of moderately longilinear, long linear forms, Dalek homorphic, Dalek homorphic skull with rounded occiput, oval face, nose, straight pine, horizontal inclined downward base of the septum, large open eyes, etc. But yeah, they don't really like to include the black people in this stuff. But as y'all can see, they keep telling y'all that the skin range to brown. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. The skin ranges to brown, and we can even look up the eurafricans, like they said. Okay, so Africa, the mainland territories of the member states of the European Union, the European communities, animating order of ascension. Okay, so Eurafrica, also known as Eurafrica, both Portmanteaus of Europe and Africa in German, refers to the German idea of the strategic partnership between Africa and Europe. In the decades before World War II, German supporters of the European integration advocated a merger of African colonies as a first step towards a federal Europe. As a genuine political project, it played a crucial role in the early development of the European Union, but was largely forgotten afterwards. In the context of a renewed EU strategy for Africa and controversies about a Euro-Mediterranean partnership. And guys, I've already been telling you guys about Emmanuel Macron, the EU, the Union of Mediterranean, which is the EU and the Mediterranean, which has joined together. And I told y'all about the beast from the sea. I mean, this stuff is all confirmed. I mean, I don't know how else I can confirm it to you guys. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of other people, it's a lot of other things playing a part in, but this is the main things. Okay, the Euro-Mediterranean partnership, the term went through as a sort of revival in the last years. Queen of Sheba. The term was already coined in the high imperial period of the 19th century. It played a role in some technocratical fantasies. The Atlantropa vision in the 1920s and 1930s. It then aimed to integrate African colonies, providing raw materials with Europe. Erich Ops was one of the propagators during World War II. The 1920s saw Richard von Coudenhove Kalergi founding the first popular movement for a united Europe. His Pan-European Union saw a Euro-African alliance using the European colonies as dowry as important base of Europe's ability to found a third pillar against the Americas and Asia. Coudenhove. You know what? I'm so tired of saying these names. They need some nicknames like CK. Belief had racial undertones as he claimed that Eurafrica would combine European high culture and the African primitive vitalism to benefit both continents. Louisa Bialisiewicz refers to Karl Hochschiffer's vision of a Euro-African pan-region as base of the vision of Euro-Africa as the most central third of the world. The partnership discourse grew from a mere political and economic exchange to an enhanced relevance attached to the sphere of emotions and sexuality in the interwar period. Okay, but and talks about the Queen of Sheba being Arab, Berber, African. But yeah, as you can see, these people did term. Let's look up the Canaanites because the Israelites. I mean, they're Canaanites that are mixed with Indian. That's what the Israelites are. So when you look at the picture of the Canaanites, I mean, it show you. Oh, I don't know if they're gonna give us a good picture. That they were all different colors, skin types. So one, that was a good picture. Here we go. So as y'all can see this picture, you got black, brown, tan, pale, you know. So Aryan white, Canaanite oranges, and Hamite Europeans. So the Canaanites, Canaan had, Canaan had different children, and the Amorites, different, they became different tribes, and the Amorite tribe had leprosy. And you can see that the hair on some of these people is long, wavy, like this person all the way to the end to your right. It's like long, wavy hair, like what my family looks like. And my family has, if you go back and watch my what is a Hebrew Israelite video, I show pictures of my family, and they have that Indian look, that long, wavy hair, etc. And some of us are dark skinned like me, like my whole family is light, but I'm brown. So yes, we can be brown skinned. Yes, majority of African Americans are probably Israelites. I can't, because I haven't done, everybody's family history. So I can't say that for everybody, but I can surely say that I am. So I believe that African Americans are Israelites. Okay. I'm actually watching the show Britannica. So I'm sure we will let's see. And I was telling you guys that the Celtic are, more of the Caucasian Irish, and the Gaelic, I believe, was more of, you know, the Israelite Irish brown skinned, people. Okay, but I always end up reading forever and talking forever and just trying to bring all this information to you guys, trying to bring it all together. I also wanted to just show y'all one more thing about the Indians. Okay, so in Ezra's, let's say that those are the 10 tribes. Let's see. I believe it's in Ezra's. I'm sorry, y'all, bear with me. I guess there's 13. I knew it was 13. Those are the 10 tribes. Oh, I'm gonna have to call them back. Okay, say those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and they came into another land. Okay, and it say, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they may keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they enter into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and he held the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsarath. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. So it's telling you about the 10 tribes of Israel that went through. They were the Native Americans, y'all. And the Native Americans are the Israelites who are descended from the Amorites, Hittites, and Indians. Okay. And I was found out that the Native Americans, they say have European blood, but it's that Amorite tribe, and they are not technically European. The Caucasians are African. But sorry y'all, I have to call her back. So I wanted to tell y'all that those were the 10 tribes that went through the Bering Straits. Okay. This is the Bering Strait, Wales. Here go Wales right here. This is the Bering Strait. And they say, oh, the Native Americans, they came over here through the Bering Strait. But the original Native Americans that were here, the original Indians that were here, were dark-skinned people. And also the Chinese people are Canaanites. They are offspring of the Canaanites as well. The Chinese and the Japanese, the Mongoloid people. So that's why everybody have DNA markers that are almost similar. Okay, so let's even go to and you can see they went through Russia, came through the Bering Sea, and I'm going to show y'all on maps why I said the earth is not flat, because this is the Bering Strait. Okay, I want to show y'all something. So they went through the Bering Strait, and I want to show y'all something because this is Asia right here. Europe, Africa, Europe, Asia. So what they did was they traveled from Israel, and we had been all up in, we had traveled, we had been all through Europe. We had traveled over all the way through here, okay, so I want to show y'all where he held to still the water, which was right through here. It's 2 rivers through here. I don't want to make it too small, y'all, because then I'm going to lose what I'm trying to show y'all. But right up in here, it's like 2 rivers that go up and through here. Like it go down, they go up and through here, okay? And like right here, it's like 2, and they crossed over there, okay? Oh no, here it is right here. I'm sorry. Here go the 2 rivers right here. When they left out of Egypt, this is where they crossed that. Okay. Came here to Saudi Arabia. I'm pointing at stuff like y'all can see this. I need my marker out. Let's see. I don't know. Tools. Brush. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Came here. Went through here. We traveled. The 7 churches of Asia. My bad, y'all. I ain't mean to put those marks. Okay, so the 7 churches of Asia was in Turkey. We had been 7 churches of Asia was in Turkey. We had been all up and through here, okay? We have been all up and through this area. Okay? United Kingdom, Denmark area. My last name is Wilson. Denmark, okay? So then we travel. This is what the Native Americans did. This is what we did. Travel here. Because see, when Salmanazer took us on ships, he took us from the Indian Ocean. That was the Indian Ocean slave trade. And we came up, we went through Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, all of that. China, and that's how some of our people, they was in China, the Canaanites. The Chinese are Canaanites as well, y'all. And Japanese. Went over through China, went up through Russia, went up through Russia, came over here to the Bering Strait. Okay, so this is the Bering Strait. Now, guess what, y'all? When you cross this Bering Strait, guess where you land at? Canada. They crossed the Bering Strait and came to America, like they said. They said it took them a year and a half to go through all that land, to go through all that land of Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Russia. They traveled all the way through that land, came to America, and became the 10 tribes, the Native Americans over here. Okay? And my family is Blackfoot Indian, which had the Canada area. So this is how I be finding all this information, y'all. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. I hope y'all enjoy the information that I'm bringing to y'all. You know, let me know something, comment so I can know if y'all like the content, if y'all understand the content. But yeah, so they went through the Bering Strait. Now, this is why I say the earth is not flat, because America is supposed to be on the west side. How the heck did they cross from Russia to America through the Bering Strait? And that tied back into me telling y'all that the maps are upside down. First and foremost, let me show you something. So this will be the Bering Strait right here, y'all. If the maps, and they came from Kazakhstan, all of this. They came up. Okay, so look, they came from over here. This is Africa and all of that. This is the Middle East. From Kazakhstan, they went all the way through here, all the way through here, through Russia, through all the way through that, and came up over here in Canada. Okay, I mean, I was trying to move that out the way. Hold on, let me show y'all again. Let me move this out the way so y'all can see. So they left here. They left this area. They traveled a year and a half all the way through here. Crossed over the Bering Strait and came to America like that. Earth is not flat. If you can do that, that means it's somewhat cylinder, circle, somehow, some way. Because see how you can just, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have to go over no water barely. They went a year and a half over land, like they said. They went a year and a half over land, came all the way through the Bering Strait to America like this, like they said. Ain't that a trip? All right. Let me see if it was anything else that I wanted to bring up before I let y'all go. Oh, that the Native Americans is Nordic. Hold on, guys. So DNA links Native Americans with Europeans, and that's because I told you guys the Caucasians, they claim to be Europeans, but they don't know that they are Africans, okay? And this is the whole confusion. The Caucasians are Africans, the Amorites, the Amaru, the and this is why the Indians were, they had the Indians called the what are they called, Lily Lou, the Sun Hope. If y'all know what I'm talking about, write it in the comments. The something Lou people, I forget, but yes, they were linked to Europe because they came over here, guys, through all of that, through the Bering Strait and all of that. I'm trying to tell you, our history is deeper than what we think. People don't understand that they Africans, even though they may look different now because of all the migration and everything that the people are doing, like the and because of the leprosy, etc. But also because they have the Indian gene in our family. So Indian, African, Caucasian, Irish. Indian, African, Hittite, Caucasian, Amorite, Irish. I hope y'all got it, get it. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. So this tie into the bloodline. And this bloodline is only passed through the mother, the women in the family. And I explained to you guys that my grandmother and my great grandmother are Indian. So that's how this was passed to me. Even people look at me, and my father is more African, black, and so I look, black. But it's a proven fact that the mother carries more of the DNA. So I would be indeed more Indian, more of what my mother is than my father. Even though I'm brown, as I clearly explained to y'all, the Mediterranean peoples had skin color that ranged all the way to brown. I'm watching this show, Britannia, and I want to just get more clarification. I'm watching that show. It's also a show called Sophia that talks about how this bloodline did travel to Moscow, to Russia. And I just clearly explained to you that these people had traveled all the way through that area and crossed over to America. The reason why I showed Dr. Bering Strait again is another flat earthers. If I get any flat earthers watching this, the earth is not flat like y'all say with an ice ring around it, because how the heck can I get from one side of the earth to the other just by going through all the land? Okay, listen, I'm saying, let me know what y'all think. I'm gonna end it at that because this video done got long. I'll probably do one more part to this bloodline video. One more part to this, and this is going to really tie into the occult behind the scenes part. But we had to get the bloodline established before we could really talk about the secret societies. So I hope y'all get it, understand what I'm saying. I keep saying I hope y'all get it, and that's not that I think y'all slow or nothing. It's just that some people, they don't want to take the truth. They they don't want to believe that Caucasians is Africans, and all of this stuff that I'm saying. It's a lot for them to take in. So that's what I mean by I hope that y'all can get it. I hope that y'all can understand it, and with the open mind and open heart. Not that y'all can get it like y'all slow. So I just want to explain that, because I know y'all like, why she keep saying I hope we get it. But okay. All right, y'all. Talk to you later.